Hi, I'm Andrew Phelan. I work for Blue Tree Landscaping, one of the premier pool builders in the greater Philadelphia area. Today I'm going to be going over the basics of the pool equipment and the pool maintenance. Today I'm at the Cove, a beautiful design studio in Worcester, Pennsylvania. And as you can see here, we have a full J&D setup. And today I'm going to be going over some of the key features and functions of all the equipment. We at Blue Tree use J&D products because off of performance and reliability, they're the best out of the three manufacturers, and that's why we use J&D. So this is a J&D three-way valve. The way it works is wherever this off position is what it's going to be shutting off. So if I were to rotate it 90 degrees like this, now I'm shutting off this pipe, and if I rotate it 180 degrees, now I'm shutting off the opposite pipe. Basically, you can, with this valve, you can select which pipe you want on or off, or have them both open. So this is a return line. Basically, all the water that's going through your equipment is going back to the pool through here. These are your two skimmer lines. These are the two holes in the side of your decking. We don't know which one's which yet, but we'll figure that out. This is your main drain right here. Remember those three sets of main drains over there? This is one of them that goes to your filter, your filter pump and all that equipment. And then this is your spa drain over here. All right. And that's just the drain for the spas. This is normally off. Okay, so I'm going to be going over the pump right now. Where we're going to start is with all of the suction lines. So this is your main drains right here, and then you have two skimmers that are in the decking. And then this is your spa drains. Now spa drains are normally off. All of these lines will ultimately feed into this pipe right here, which feeds into the pump basket. This is like a little filter basket right here, and then ultimately into the impeller in the back here. Over time, this pump basket will fill up with debris. It comes from the main drains and the skimmer baskets, and this will need to be cleaned out. Now, you have to shut the pump off in order to take this lid off and then clean out the pump basket. So, this pool has automation. Now, this pool has automation. All of the functions of the pool are controlled through here, through this panel. So right now it's in auto, meaning that it is running automatically. You don't have to do anything. And what you want to do is flip it into service by hitting this button, and that'll shut everything off for you. Now that the pump is off, I can take the lid off. I normally pull on one side like this and just kind of give it a good push with the other hand. And then you can get in here and empty out the pump basket. You can bang it on your hand or on a rock or something hard and clear it out. And then once it's all clear, it goes back into the pump, and you want to line up this little notch with the little notch on the pump. And as long as that's aligned, you can close the lid and tighten it down. And that's it. So over time, as stuff gets filtered through the filter, the pressure is going to increase. Now, at a normal operating pressure at this RPM for this pool is around 10. And as the stuff gets stuck to the filter, the pressure will increase. And when it gets 10 PSI above that, that's when our filter's clogged and we want to backwash. All right. Now, to backwash, what we have to do is shut the pump off, and then turn this valve to backwash, roll out our hose that's attached to our line right here, turn the pump back on, and then we will have started the backwash cycle. I normally let it run for about a minute. You'll see in this sight glass right here, we'll get very dirty, very cloudy water. And then after, I normally see about 40 seconds or so, the water will become clear, and that's how you know that you successfully rinsed the grids and there's no more, they're clean. Then you would shut the pump off, turn this to rinse, turn the pump back on for 30 seconds, just to rinse the grids, turn the pump off again, back to filter, and then you're done. So there are many functions of the multi-port. Right now, filter, that's the mode that you'll be in most of the time when you're just filtering your water, filtering and sanitizing everything. Waste right here is for typically when the water level is too high, you can just set it to waste. This will bypass the filter. It'll go straight from the pump to this backwash line over here. All right. Now winter, you can see it doesn't have a notch in it. That just means that it's open. Closed, that's for when we're winterizing the pool. We shut off the filter when we're blowing out the suction line. So you don't need to do that one. And recirculate, what this does is if there's a broken grid or something along those lines, something nasty's in the filter, we set it to recirculate. You can recirculate the water in the pool, but it does not go through the filter, it just bypasses the filter. All right, and then those are all the functions of the multi. So these are the valves that go in and out of the heater. This is the intake valve right here. As you can see, it's off right now. So because the off position is where it's shutting off. So if I were to turn this 90 degrees, now we've got water flowing through the heater. However, we do have a bypass valve that is currently open, so I would need to shut this off. And now we have water going into the heater and then out the exit, and the heater is ready to heat now. Action. So right now we're trying to fire the heater. As you can see, we have a green light and a red light. The green light indicates that the pool is ready to go, ready to heat, and the red light means that it's actually actively trying to heat the pool. When you first turn on your heater, what you're going to hear is the blower going for about 40 seconds. There's a hot surface igniter on the inside of here that's heating up to about 2,000 degrees. And after 40 seconds, the gas valve will open up and go over the hot surface igniter with that gas air mixture and ignite. And that'll start to heat your pool. Cut. So when buying a pool, one of the decisions that you need to make is whether you want to use a trichlor feeder or a salt cell. In this example, we have a salt cell. The way that these work is as the salt water passes through this electrode right here, it uses electrical current to break the sodium chloride down into hypochlorous acid and sodium hydroxide. Hypochlorous acid is the chlorine that will sanitize the water. And a lot of people get these because of they're very easy to maintain and they're very user friendly. Now we're back over at the pool and we're going to test the water and make sure our chemistry is okay. All right, so just dip it in the water for a few seconds, shake it off, and then we can read this test strip on the bottle, reading from right to left and then top to bottom. So this first square right here matches up with our chlorine. We can see that our chlorine is at 0. Now, just so you know, this pool in particular, the water was just trucked in, it was just plastered the other day, so there's no chlorine in it yet. Now, we like our chlorine between 1 and 3 parts per million. Anything higher than that, if we go above 10 here, it can bleach the plaster, but I find that this is very, very rare. Typically, we have low chlorine in this 0 to 0.5 range, and in that case, you start to get cloudy water, algae starts to develop, and we want to avoid that. So raising our chlorine levels to 1 to 3 parts per million is ideal, and that's where we want it. So we just tested our alkalinity. This is the second square on our test strip here. We like our alkalinity between 80 and 120. This was reading about 120 right here. Now what alkalinity does is that it is a buffer for your pH. So if your alkalinity is in 80 to 120 range, it means that your pH is less likely to swing up and down based on outside factors. So our next metric here is our pH. Right now, I'm reading very high on the pH scale. Now, if your pH is high, you are on the scaling end of the spectrum, and if it's very, very low, you're on the etching end of the spectrum. We like this between 7.2 and 7.8 for various reasons. Your chlorine's more effective in this range. So the last one we're going to talk about is calcium hardness. So right now, because this water was just trucked in, the hardness is on the lower end. It's about 100. Now, if your hardness is too high, you'll be on the scaling end. Calcium is going to fall out of solution and then stick to your plaster, and it's going to scale over. And now, if you're too low, the calcium is going to be etched out of your plaster, meaning the water is going to pull the calcium out of the plaster, and it'll start to etch the pool. So we like this between 250 and 450, and if you're in these ranges, then your water will be balanced and you'll have neither of those issues. So this is brushing. There's two reasons that you would brush a pool. In this case, because it's a brand new plaster, we're trying to keep the plaster dust from sticking to the plaster. And by what you do is you just kind of go along every square inch of the surface of the plaster and just kind of brush along. And you can see that there's creates a bit of a dust cloud. And that's brushing. It's more of a sweep, you know, less of a brush back and forth. You don't need to do that. And you just kind of sweep it along. Now, because this is a brand new pool, we are mainly just getting the plaster dust off. However, once the plaster is cured, you still want to brush your pool. That's a main way of preventing algae from growing. So this is the manual vacuuming. As you can see here, we have our pole, we have our vacuum head attached to the pole, and a hose attached to the vacuum head. This is a brush head. This is the head that you'd have to use for the first 30 days of a brand new plaster, because you can't use rollers in that time period. So the first thing you want to do is submerge the head in water. Now, this hose is full of air, so we want to get all the air out. And the first thing, I gotta go around this land now. All right. So an easy way to do that is to hook this end of the hose into a return line, and you can see over there the bubbles coming out. There you go. Once the bubbles stop, you know that you're full of water. And then you go over to your skimmer over here. Take the basket out. Now Blue Tree supplies you with the vacuum plate, hose, pole, all of that. And this all goes into the skimmer. And there you go. You're set up. So once you have your vacuum hooked up to the skimmer, the next thing you want to do is adjust your valves so that all of your suction is going to the skimmer that the vacuum is hooked up to. So first thing I want to do is shut off my main drains. So we're rotating that 90 degrees. The next thing I want to do is turn this valve to turn off the skimmer that I'm not hooked up to. So I'm going to turn it this way. Now I don't hear any agitation in the pump, so I'm going to try the other one. Okay, that was even less. So I'm going to go back to this one. All right, now based on what I'm seeing in the pump, that tells me that I'm hooked up to the right skimmer. All right. So now that I'm hooked up and my valves are set, I can actually vacuum the pool. Now, if you're not sure if you have suction, you can pull on this hose, give it a good tug. If you can't pull it off, then that's how you know that you're on the right skimmer and that all the suction's going to that skimmer. So all you do is basically just run the vacuum head across the bottom of the pool. It gets a little stiff sometimes. But what you're doing is just sucking up any kind of debris, or if this is a new pool, you're sucking up all the plaster dust that's on the bottom of the pool. All right, so this is the Aqualink app. This controls all of the features and equipment for our pool here. So if we click on this, so where it starts off here, you see your air temp and your pool temp. Those are both sensors at the pool equipment. Our next feature here is to set the temp. So if we were to go into here, I can set the spa temp into whatever I need. Let's call it 98, 99, whatever. Save it, and then if we go into here, I can now set the pool temp by clicking on that and set it to 90. I like that, so I'm going to save it there. And the other feature you have on here, spa mode. Basically, you can flip it from pool mode to spa mode. Filter pump, that just tells you that the filter pump is on. This is to set your spa heat temp, and then this is for your pool heat. Now the other feature is down in the bottom right here. You have your equipment, and right here we have all of the different equipment that we can turn on and off at this pool. So we have our 2 blowers here, our lights, our bench jets, the laminar jets. Now with the 2 lights, if I hit this little arrow right here, I can pick what color I want my lights to be. So we can go through, color splash, or if I want to just make it Caribbean blue, that's fine too. And that's how you control all of your equipment through the app. So this is all the equipment for the laminar jets. This is just a regular single speed pump. This is a suction line right here. This suction line comes from one of the main drains down at the bottom of the pool. Works just like a regular pump though. We got our intake here. This is our pressure side. Goes into a small cartridge filter right here. And then on the exit of that, comes out here. This is a safety line or a bleed line. Basically, if these lines get clogged for any reason, the water's gonna have a place to go right here. And then all of these valves control the laminars themselves. This is a laminar jet right here. What happens is a stream of water shoots out of the jet right here and goes into the pool. Now, what's really cool about this is that you can run a light beam through it and it will follow the entire arc of this water jet right here. Now, if I put my hand in here, you can see the water, or you can see the light rather. And this is just a neat water feature for your backyard. This is a Thanks for joining us. Special thanks to our partners at the Cove, who are design partners on this project. I'm Andrew from Blue Tree, and I'll see you next time.